the holidays being slower, everyone's with family, people tire kicking to the new year. Have you noticed people saying that?
Somebody asked the question, what do I do with all these tire kickers? And he said something that I deep down knew. There is no such thing as tire kickers. You're just not that good.
I agree.
I realized that the best solution to quote-unquote tire kickers is scarcity and urgency, capping spots. So if somebody is at 0 clients, I tell them your new max is 1. If you're at, I don't know, it's a slow month, your new max is 3 or 5, whatever it is for you. And you use that in your messaging because the way you message people matters a lot. And the scarcity allows you to have more power when you do so. So to give you an example, if you only have 1 more spot, let's say you're at 0, you could message Marcos and say, hey Marcos, I only have 1 more spot left and I don't want you to miss out. Would you like to take it this week before I send an email on the weekend? Then it's like a little stronger, right? It gives you some sort of power. And also urgency, like yes, December can be slow, but what I've been doing is I've been offering a bonus one-on-one call to everyone who joins so that they have a reason to do it. And I came up with like a little clever phrasing of it. And I said, you can only get the one-on-one call if you join before the price increase on January. So like double reasons, right? So giving people reason why, it's a very high ROI because I'm at the point where I'm thinking like, if you have a good reason why, it's like 50% of the value of an offer or the effectiveness of an offer. If you give them a good reason why, people just act. And most offers lack that. So I emphasize that over the offer itself. How about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with the you're just not that good thing. I think the entire year people find reasons to tire kick and they find reason. It's just another objection. And I think what business owners do this time of year is they think because everybody has the same objection that it's the time of year, and it's not just the fact that they're not objection handling. So they kind of use, I feel like business owners will use Christmas or the new year as an excuse as to why they're not closing deals or why they're not making sales. But in reality, it's just another objection, and you get objections year round. You know what I mean? Like that's sales. You have objections, so you have to find ways to beat them. And I think this time of year is easy for people to blame the year. So they will blame the year rather than how can I use this to my advantage, doing things like you just said and using it to your advantage and creating new scarcity and, close it now before I raise the price in 2024 or, lock in your spot now for a January 1 launch. I've even done that. I've said, if you want to do a January 1 launch, we got a 14-day onboarding process. And that's got a lot of people. Like I remember we talked about in the last episode. It's like, if you want to get in the tax expense, let's do it now, right? You could turn the negative into a positive.
And now it's going to be, so let's say you launch your stuff in January, right? Best month ever. People are going to come up with an excuse. They're like, no, but I'm going to try the one that I started before you send me that offer. And then in February, it's going to be like, no, I haven't given up on my New Year's goals. Let me try that one. And then in March, it's going to be, I have my Q1 goals, but maybe in Q2. And then Q2 comes around and they're going to invent something. So excuses are always going to be there. Like your job as a marketer is not just crafting a good reason, good offer, but crafting a good reason why every time.
Have you ever heard the saying, excuses are like assholes? Everyone has one and they usually sting.
Nice.
It's funny because my goal is I want to do 4 client launches on the 1st of every month. I have 3 already for Jan 1. So for me, how do the one way that I've been able to have already 3 locked in for Jan 1 is using that in my messaging is we want to launch Jan 1, you need to close now. If you want to start in the new year, we need to do this to start now because I really do have a rigorous onboarding process. It's the truth. And it does take 10 to 14 days at least. So I'm able to been closing clients in December the same way I would close them any other month by just shifting my messaging to, if you want to launch by Jan 1 to get a fresh new year going, we need to do this. And another way I do that is I lay out a 6 to 12 month map for them. And when someone sees it clearly as like a 12-month map from January to December 2024, they're more inclined to close now because if they close on January 1st, now it's 11 months and it's just like messes up the whole thing. So that's how I've been able to close. I have 3 clients already launching on Jan 1, and I'm going to continue to use that messaging to go and close number 4 or number 5 or whatever.
Curious why Jan 1 versus January 7? Like, is it just because you want to start strong? Because some people might check their email on Jan 1, some people might not. And I was kind of debating, should I launch Jan 7 or Jan 1? I don't know.
You should launch Jan 1, and that's because Jan 7th is my birthday.
I have a switch of gears. I think that people are giving away too much value, and I want a reframe. It's not value-based content that wins. It's insight-based content that wins because value-based content attracts practitioners. Let me say that again. Value-based content attracts sellers. Insight-based content attracts buyers. And ever since I switched to an insight-based approach, I started getting less copycats, but I started making more money because I think I was attracting the right people. So when I posted this, somebody asked me, what is the difference between value and insight? This guy helps people land jobs in software. So I said, value for you would be saying, use this template in your curriculum and send it. Insight for you would be recruiters don't really care about you being class president. They want to see all your side projects on your curriculum. Make sure you include that because that actually increases your chances of getting hired. One is value, take this and run with it, do it. The other one is insight, just giving you a better understanding of the thing without actually telling you this is exactly how you do it. I think that the reason why insight works better than value, it's because you want to make people want. You don't want to make people do. When you give people too much value, they do. And they try stuff and they go with, yeah, Marcos, by the way, let me try this and then I'll get back to you if this works out. Whereas if you give them insight, it reveals that you have other insights. And I have found that it tends to attract a higher quality of prospects. Value is giving people the how, the little tactics, the send this DM. Insight is giving people the what, understanding something that they didn't know before. That is easier to create, easier to consume, and it attracts better people. So now, fuck value-based content. We only do insight-based content now. Like there's a time and place, right? But you gotta know where to put each. There's nuance here.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't really get clients from value content. To be fair, like most of my clients come from inbound and referrals, and the inbound comes from insight-based content. Like we did this for this person. Like it's possible. It's like minimum value. It's like, I was just thinking about this. Like, it's really hard to get the kind of client I want without it just being like a referral or an inbound. It's very difficult to get them through outbound and like posting like value, like how to write a thread. Like it's never generated a client for me, and I don't know if it ever will, but I totally agree there. Like it's very difficult. I'd literally I would say 0 clients have come from value content. Like whenever I post swipe files or how-tos, it just draws competitors and fucking like admirers, but it never draws people who want to work with me.
Yeah, it attracts sellers, not buyers.
Yeah.
So now, like, I think that the goal of let me give as much value as possible for free, I think that metric is flawed. I think the goal is let me give as much insight for free, because then people get interested in the value, which is what's behind. So this was big. This was a big realization that I came across, and now it's actually been very profitable. So I wanted to share it with the Likes and Cash podcast. But to give you another example so that this is like maybe clearer, I had a video where I gave out my DM scripts. It did pretty well in regards to other videos in my channel. I kind of regret doing that video because everybody started using the same DM scripts, and then I kind of fucked myself. Right? It's like, shit.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But when I said, guys, by the way, the secret to this lead flow thing is don't just let people engage. You also got to DM the people who engage with your stuff, because every follow is an implicit request for information. And then they're like, holy shit, bro. That's the key. Do you have anything for that? And that's where sales come. Not from value, but from insight.
Yeah, you kind of went against your principles there. I feel like you were always, I'm never sharing scripts, and then you randomly just like shared the scripts.
Yeah, I changed my mind many times. I've changed my mind plenty of times in the past, but this one was a mistake.
Well, there's 2 things there. One is, I think for me anyway, like when it comes to doing the best, I think the highest quality setting or sell by chat scripts are just people who know how to have good conversations over text and just like know how to use marketing and persuasion to their advantage in that. So I think scripts are really just training wheels, and like you'll never actually hit peak performance if you don't just know how to have nuance and have a different conversation every time. I also think the other thing you said is, I think I tweeted this. It's actually one of my company values, but it's like, I love having like an innovator's and an inventor's mindset when it comes to business. And it's like you hip fire, spray and pray, throw so much shit at the wall. Like some things stick and some things don't. It's like what that Chamath meme where it's like, I'm in the arena trying things. Some things don't work. But like you have to have, you really do. You have to have that mindset if you want to create actual IP. And like, especially if you're in an industry where, everybody's copy pasting the same shit, if you want to innovate and actually create unique IP that actually makes you valuable, you have to be able to try shit that just, you don't know if it's going to work. You try it, it didn't work. All right, next, you have to move fast. It's try shit and break things, right? It's like in Elon Musk's biography, in Tesla and SpaceX, he's like, the only laws we follow are the laws of physics. We're questioning everything. If there's a rule, who made the rule? What did they make the rule based on? I don't give a fuck about rules. Break the rules, right? So you got to have that mindset if you want to actually create IP. I think going from like zero, we've talked about this before, but I think going from zero to call it 10K a month, going from like getting your basic needs met to not be broke is copy something that's already working. And then to actually build a sustainable long-term business, you have to have your own IP and create a real brand and create real unique value for your clients. I think that comes from just trying shit and breaking things.
So what is an example of one thing that you were like, this is gospel, this works, but then you broke that rule and you found something better? If you don't have an example, I have an example, but I wanted to ask.
I have a million of those things, but I'd say one of those things would probably be the entire notion behind follower growth, kind of like the original ghostwriting offer, right? You kind of pioneered it, but like the OG offer from 2021, 2022 that everybody talked about was you get this many followers guaranteed, and then you do it for free if you don't get there, and you do a certain amount of retweets and all this stuff. I fucked that. I said, fuck that. I'm going to completely change this offer. I'm not going to guarantee growth. I'm going to try and get sales, and I'm going to hope it works. And it worked, and my offer completely changed. I was able to charge more money to get less followers because we're able to get sales to cover the cost of our retainer. And I think that was a huge shift, and I had to change how much content we were putting out based on like what I had originally learned. And I had to put out a different amount of content, different types of content. I had to put different kinds of ads, like all sorts of things that I just had to slowly throw at the wall. And like, yeah, I churned clients, and yeah, like some people couldn't get results at first, but I figured it the fuck out. And I was able to create a unique offer, and now no one has the offer I have. And now that's my IP, and I would never sell that for the world. There's a reason I don't tweet, I built my agency to $60K a month. It's just, I don't want to tell you how to do it. You know what I mean?
Will you tell me how to do it, Marcos?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. We just had a moment.
That'll be $5,000.
It's okay, man. If it can work, it works.